Alright, AP World Historians, let's dive into Unit 8.1, setting the stage for the Cold War. The year is 1945, World War II. The deadliest conflict in human history has just ended. Cities are in ruins, empires are crumbling, and the world is holding its breath, wondering what comes next. Before the war, the world was a multipolar system. You had several major powers like Great Britain, France, Germany, Japan, and the United States, all vying for influence, but World War II completely shattered this old order. By 1945, only two nations emerged, not just intact, but stronger than ever: the United States and the Soviet Union. Everyone else was either defeated, devastated, or deeply in debt. This shift from a multipolar world to a bipolar one, dominated by two superpowers, is the absolute key to understanding the post-war era. So, let's look at our two main characters. On one side, we have the United States. It came out of the war with an industrial machine that was second to none, a booming economy, and a monopoly on the atomic bomb. Ideologically, the U.S. championed capitalism and liberal democracy. Think free markets, individual liberties, and elected governments. The American vision for the post-war world was one of open trade and self-determination, heavily influenced by President Woodrow Wilson's ideas after World War I. On the other side, we have the Soviet Union. The USSR had suffered immense losses. We're talking over 20 million people. But it had also proven its military might by pushing the Nazis all the way back to Berlin. Ideologically, the Soviet Union was guided by communism. This meant a state-controlled economy, a single-party government, and the suppression of political dissent. Their vision for the post-war world was completely different. Having been invaded twice in 30 years by Germany, their primary goal was security. Stalin wanted to create a buffer zone of friendly, communist-controlled states in Eastern Europe to protect the Soviet Union from any future Western aggression. Now, you might think, weren't they allies during the war? Yes, they were, but it was an alliance of convenience. They shared a common enemy, Nazi Germany. Once that enemy was gone, the deep ideological differences that had been simmering beneath the surface came roaring back. Think of it like two people who team up to fight a bear. Once the bear is gone, they realize they have nothing in common and, in fact, fundamentally disagree on how to live. The cracks started to show even before the war ended. At conferences like Yalta and Potsdam. At Yalta in February 1945, the Big Three, Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin, met to plan the future. They agreed to divide Germany into occupation zones and decided that Eastern European nations would have free and unfettered elections. But what free elections meant to the Americans was very different from what it meant to Stalin. By the time they met again at Potsdam in July, the mood had changed. Roosevelt had died and was replaced by Harry Truman, who was much more suspicious of Stalin. The U.S. had also successfully tested the atomic bomb, which gave Truman a new sense of confidence. At Potsdam, the disagreements over the future of Germany and Eastern Europe became much more apparent. The Soviets were already installing communist-friendly governments in countries like Poland, Romania, and Bulgaria, breaking their Yalta promise. From the Soviet perspective, this was a necessary defensive measure. From the American perspective, it was aggressive expansionism and a betrayal. This mutual distrust is the engine of the Cold War. Neither side ever declared war on the other directly. That's why it's called a Cold War. A hot war between two nuclear-armed superpowers would have been catastrophic. Instead, they competed for global influence through other means. They engaged in an arms race, building up massive arsenals of nuclear weapons. They engaged in a space race, competing to see who could reach the moon first. And they fought proxy wars, supporting opposing sides in conflicts all over the globe, from Korea and Vietnam to Africa and Latin America. And third, the deep-seated mutual suspicion and security fears that poisoned any chance of post-war cooperation. These three factors created a tinderbox. For now, make sure you understand this foundational context. It's the essential setup for everything that happens in the second half of the 20th century. Don't forget to smash that notifications bell and subscribe for more AP World content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.